Today we're going to start looking at telling a more detailed story. Okay, a lengthy story, a bit more information about yourself. So I guess that begs the first question: what makes for a good storyteller? Okay, and this holds true whether you're talking creative nonfiction, whether you're talking straight up fiction, um, any sort of storyteller. This is all true, right? Okay, so a good storyteller, first and foremost, uses suspense, right? A good storyteller uses suspense. They gradually unfold the story. You don't learn everything up front. Kind of tease the reader along, feed them a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, until you finally have a big reveal there at the climax, right? Okay, because it's building towards something. Okay, so a good storyteller really uses a lot of suspense. It's finding, okay, how do I give just this little detail here and a little detail here, just these little crumbs to tease and keep the reader interested. Right? So that's the suspense. Good storyteller, of course, shows rather than telling, right? Um, the reader has to figure stuff out. Um, a bad storyteller would explain to you the significance of the event. A good storyteller gives you a detailed description of the event, possibly with some form of allusion that might hint at the meaning. Right, but you don't want to actually tell the reader what it's all about or whatever, right? You can juxtapose bits of information, and in the process of doing that, it helps the reader to then connect the dots, right? A good storyteller, of course, sets up the scene so the reader can visualize what is happening. Okay, so that it's something that they can picture in their own mind. So you have detailed description and stuff. A good storyteller uses dialogue that makes the reader feel like they're present, feel like they are a witness to the events in the story, or an eavesdropper, right? That counts too. Sometimes a good storyteller uses a persona. Maybe I speaking, but how many eyes could there be, right? So even in creative nonfiction, the narrator of the story that is you, well, that may just be one part of you, and that's the voice that you're using, and that's okay. Right? Maybe it's an assumed version of you. Okay, you're taking on that persona because that's how you want to present yourself. That's fine too. A good storyteller shows change in a character, even if it's you, right? Shows change in that character rather than announcing it. You don't just say, and that was how I changed, right? Let's go back to Christmas Carol, right? We didn't have Scrooge wake up and go, well, now I'm generous in the end of the story. No. He wakes up and he starts, throwing presents or money around and all this stuff, and he's a changed person. So you show the change through the actions rather than just announcing it. Okay, so remember, in fiction, that internal change has to be manifested externally. So a good storyteller is doing the same thing even when dramatizing your own experience. Okay, so, and somehow you demonstrate it. Good storyteller does not always begin at the beginning. Remember, we talked about that. We were dealing with playwriting about how sometimes, you cut the first page or cut the first scene or whatever, and that is often a better place to begin your story. That's true with all storytelling. Sometimes the best place to start telling the story isn't actually at the beginning. And a good storyteller does something that grabs the reader's attention. It's that narrative hook. And it's just as important in a personal narrative in creative nonfiction as it would be in a work of fiction. How many times do you hear that criticism of a book? It didn't get me until like 100 pages in. Well, how many people make it that 100 pages, right? You gotta hook them. Okay, give them that narrative hook. Now, what I find very interesting is a lot of people, when they're first presented with the idea of creative nonfiction, um, a lot of people show a lot of skepticism, as you might say, disbelief that you can actually use like these techniques of fiction to effectively dramatize these non-fictional, true experiences. But hopefully, just through what we've talked about, and hopefully through even just what you experienced yesterday with that brief writing assignment, hopefully you already understand that you can. You just use those exact same techniques and it makes the nonfiction just as engaging as the fiction. Okay, so let's take an example here. I want you to think about an experience you've had, any experience, doesn't matter what. Okay, it could be serious, it could be funny, whatever, just something that could be an anecdote. Okay, you got 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now pretend you have to tell somebody about that particular experience. You have to tell this story, this thing that happened to you. Well, first off, you got to decide where in the story to begin. Where do you start telling it? Where's the best place to do it? Decide what tense to use. Should you use present tense? It's happening to you in the moment. Should you use past tense, looking back at it? In which case, maybe the place to begin the story is after it's over. Both ways of telling a story have their advantages, by the way. So, you choose whichever one you think works for the best there. And then, of course, you want to come up with some inventive way to get the reader's attention. That's the hook. Consider how you might frame the story. What's the context you're going to put it in? How could you tease the reader along? You don't want to give everything away right away, right? So what could you do to tease someone along so that they keep listening to you, they keep reading what it is you have to say in that particular story? Now here's the thing. I bet you were probably able to just do that. Okay? If you actually were thinking of a moment, I bet you did not have too much difficulty framing all of that in. And really, it's not that hard. So that's essentially what we're going to do. We're going to try it in earnest with our assignment today.